Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and this is the card we're going to be making today. Now this was inspired by Jennifer McGuire. She always makes such fantastic cards, and I wanted to do it with the Cricut. So I'm kind of playing with the finishing touches right now because I don't really need it for 4 or 5 more months. So I haven't finished the outermost layer, the front layer, but you can kind of see what I'm playing with. So let's get into it. So these are the fish that I cut out from the file that I'm going to share with you. I only put a mouth on one because I'd already done most of the others. Some of them cut out pretty well, some of them didn't. What I did use some scraps. This is my BAZZIL cardstock, my scraps from when I made my tags. And the colors that I used were BAZZIL Citrus Slice, which is this one, and let's see here, BAZZIL Gold Coins. Sorry, I am still recovering from a sinus infection. I am like not quite 2 weeks into it, so about 10 or 11 days into it, but I'm over the hurdle, that's for sure. I also used BAZZIL Tropical Breeze, BAZZIL Grape Delight, and BAZZIL Cotton Candy. So those were the colors I used. So some of you may recognize the theme I'm going for here. This was from a video of Jennifer McGuire's, and she did this video, it was about a week ago, I believe. Yeah, it says 3 days ago, but I haven't refreshed that screen, where she made a shadow box card that moves. Okay, so this is from hers, and I don't buy a lot of dies anymore, and I'm really particular when I do because I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to use them over and over and over again. So even though I live in fish country, I'm in a part of the Arkansas where there's a lot of bass fishing and trout. I guess it's trout fishing. Sorry. I don't fish because I can't be outside. So, but anyway, so this is not a die set I would purchase. The die set is from Simon Says Stamps, and it is, what do they call this one? They call this one, I can't get my scroller to work, the Fun Fish Wafer Dies, S1170 Shine On. These fish are adorable. Jennifer used these in her video. Honest to gosh, if I did more fish, I would buy them. I just don't. So I decided I'd try and create my own, and for the most part they work pretty well. You might notice they're all blind right now. I haven't got done the eyes yet. I haven't decided if I want to layer on black and white or if I just want to color them in black, or if I haven't decided yet what I want to do about the eyes. And they're also all, unfortunately, facing in the same direction, which, in the Cricut you can always flip it. I just forgot to do that. I designed them all in the same direction and forgot to flip. So I may cut out some more of these. Right now they're waiting to be inked. There are 2 layers on each of them. Let me see if I can pick one up. So there's the top layer. Let's see here. Let me put this on the back of this purple piece. There's the top layer, and what I've done is I've cut those scales in using, I believe they're all free shapes. I want to say they are, and you can, if they're not, I apologize. I'm not going to redo it all because I've spent days working on this, but they're cut in. Now I did try a couple of other methods. I tried, let me see, my first samples, which were actually done like 3 days ago. I'm missing one. Oh, here it is. So I've got 3 different ones here. So let me see. So these are cut in. Whoops. And they work pretty good. This is a lightweight cardstock from Michaels, a 65 pound. So they're not super heavy. I would probably want to use at least an 80 pound or double up this back layer because the fin's pretty flimsy. Pun intended. Okay, now I'm missing the top part of that. Where? Oh, it's over here. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, sinus infections are no joke, guys. So that was the first one where I cut them in. This one, I tried to do the embossing technique, and I don't think you can even really see, you can barely see the scales. They just didn't show up well. I might have tried doubling that up and having it do them twice, you know, but it didn't really work. This one I used the deboss tool that I have for my maker. Well, that's not focusing. And it worked pretty good. It did kind of wrinkle this big gill right here, but otherwise I would say it worked pretty good. So you can do with your make them a cut file, you can use them as a deboss file if you have a debossing tool. Maybe this was the deboss. I can't remember now because it was 3 days ago. I'm sorry. I also have the foil tip tool, and I did try that, so that might be what this one is. So anyway, there's multiple ways you can do this. If you've got the foiling tips and foil, the Cricut foil, you could foil those decorative elements onto the fish body. You can cut them on the fish body. You can draw them on the fish body. There's various things you can do. If you're having trouble, especially if you're having trouble getting them to cut out for you the way you want them to, those are options, and I actually thought they would look pretty cool with the foil, but I didn't do any of those today because I'm still trying to find the energy to get things done, and it's not easy. Fortunately, it never settled into my lungs, but my sinuses are still heavily impacted, and not nearly as heavily as they were. I've not had a headache for 2 days, so I am slowly getting back to normal. I spent a week trying to beat it on my own, and finally my husband just couldn't stand to look at me anymore, and he said, I think we need to go to the urgent care. So of course I waited till a weekend so I couldn't see my regular doctor, but the urgent care got me right in. It took longer to fill out the paperwork because we'd never been there before than it did to actually be seen and get a prescription. So let that be a lesson to you. Anyway, so design these files. I'm going to separate the file into 2 pieces because because there's a lot in it, okay, and I'd have to go back through and ungroup and regroup everything, and I think it's just going to be easier if I have like a sandbox file or scrap file, you know, with all the little pieces, parts, in case you want to, you know, try playing with them and making your own. And then I'll have the file with the fish in it. Now, the best part is the card base, which you know, obviously I need to put that together. But this is what I've got so far. So, oops, I've dropped stuff everywhere. So I did use my dies to cut out my greenery, and I did layer this one up since it's kind of got to stand up on its own in the front. I didn't decorate the back the way Jennifer did because I have this polka dot or Swiss dot paper from BAZZIL. I used almost all BAZZIL cardstock except for the white layer, and I thought that looked good enough. So it kind of looks like bubbles. So at first I thought I'll make the fish. Then I had so much trouble making the fish. Now mind you, I've been on all kinds of cold medicines and sinus sprays and you name it, but I wasn't happy. So then I thought, oh, I'll do my print and cut, and I'll make, because if I give this to anybody at all, it'll be for her first birthday, which isn't going to be for like 4 or 5 more months, but it kind of goes with the theme of her, the baby shower, and so I did a print and cut, but I realized those don't really show up that great on that dark background. Not to mention I didn't use good enough paper, and so they're, you know, they're a little iffy. I mean, it does show up, but it could show up better. So then I thought, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to cut these things out again. I've even got the seashell here. I cut out several layers because it's a thinner cardstock. I thought I might put that down somewhere. But anyway, I just think this card is so cute, and it'll work for so many different things, not just fish. I envision a unicorn running across a beautiful field. Flowers would be cute in there, or flowers Right, well that was strange. I don't know what happened, so I don't know where I cut off, but anyway, there are multiple reasons to use this card. Now I still need to put it together, but I do want to finish my fish. Anyway, what I was saying about the file is I'm going to break it down, so I'm going to put all the pieces I used into one file, and I'll give you that link, and then I'll put the completed file with these fish and the card base in another file, so you'll get 2 links. And I did use dies for the background greenery. So I was started to say, and I stopped, I'm very picky about the dies that I buy. I want to get a lot of use out of them. So I buy things like the greenery dies. I buy things like flowers, because I love flowers. I'm never going to get sick of them. Butterflies, hummingbirds, dragonflies, fairies, unicorns, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm never going to get sick of. I may not, have a lot of kids to make the unicorns and fairy stuff for, but I'm still not going to get sick of it. So for that kind of stuff, I would buy dies, and I have bought dies. I have plenty of them. I just don't want to keep buying dies that I can't use enough to make it worth my while to A, pay for them, and B, store them. So that's why I decided to design my own. Now, I will share a link below. I will insert a picture here. I did find some SVG fish on Creative Fabrica, which is one of my favorite go-tos. That's where I got these other images that I'd used before when I was making my great niece's baby shower gifts. So you could easily cut out and piece your fish that way if you'd rather do that. I was really kind of trying to mimic what Jennifer had done. I don't think I got really close, but considering how I felt and what I had to work with, and because I do design these in Designspace, I don't design them somewhere else and then save the SVGs. I maybe should try that, because it might make it where more people could use them, because there are other craft machines out there that do use SVGs, and maybe I should go that route. But I do try to design in Designspace, because that's what I use. So I might have to rethink that a little bit. But what I'm going to do is, I've talked long enough, and I know I'm going to talk more when I start putting things together. Just to give you a heads up, you might want to flip some of the fish in the other direction. You think about how you want to do the eyes. Do you want to draw it on? Do you want to cut it out? Do you want to, because the ones in the dies that from Simon Says Stamps, they're actually a cutout on the top layer, and then you could color in the back layer, do whatever you want. I don't think I want to cut out a bunch of white circles and a bunch of black circles right now. I just don't think I have it in me. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm going to ink some of these. I'm going to start putting stuff together. I did come up with this, well, I didn't come up with it, I found it. I did a Google search for cute fish card sayings, and actually I did kind of make this up. So it says it's official. That part I didn't come up with. That was something I found on somebody else's, but this would be for her first birthday, so I added your one, and the other one said you're amazing or something, fishtastic. I don't think it said fishtastic, but something like that. But I got the it's official inspiration from something else, and then I added the your one. So I'll put that on the card somewhere. So I'm going to ink these up. You know, you guys have seen, if you haven't seen me ink stuff up, you've certainly seen other people ink stuff up. It's pretty easy. It just takes a little time. I've got to figure out my colors, and then we'll come back, we'll assemble the card. I do have some clear acetate strips somewhere. I need to find them to make these things kind of float across the front of the card. And otherwise, I think that's it. As always, I will share the file. If you want to see how I made the fish, you know, it's basically just slicing shapes out of other shapes. It took me a long time to design all these, but if there's really a demand for it, I would do a video to show you how I did it. But I'm just going to save all the parts that I've saved. that are, you know, I've sliced from other parts, other free shapes, and you guys can play with them and do what you want. Now, I will tell you one more thing, and I've said this before. On these pointy tails, or any pointy bits like this, I do like to use the offset at like a 0.24 or 0.48 or something like that, and round those tips a little bit. A, they cut better. B, they don't get as damaged. For some reason, pointy tips or squares or corners damage a lot easier than rounded ones. So I do the offset, and that's what I use, is the offset when I weld it to the body. So if you're playing with the file, and I encourage you to do that because you can learn a lot that way. If you're playing with the file, keep that in mind. So with that said, I'm going to do a little bit of inking, and then we'll come back. Alright, I did finish inking. I just used a variety of, I've got a couple Altenew mini cubes, as well as a bunch of Tim Holtz mini cubes, and so I used the Distress Oxides and the Altenew inks. But I did find a couple of fish that, because of the way I designed them, I could flip them around, except that this guy, his mouth isn't going to work, because his mouth is now upside down. But these other three that I didn't put mouths on will work. This one kind of looks like a blimp to me. But I'm going to start putting the card together. I did have one other thing. Jennifer used a, what did she use? I think she used an embossing folder for the front of her card. I didn't have, because of the size of it, and I just followed her measurements. You could obviously shrink this down if you wanted to. I didn't have enough embossing folders the right size to really be able to do that. Now I found a Bubbles one that was big enough, but in the end I didn't like it. I can pick it up. So I won't be using that. I will either leave it blank, or I may do some inking, like a wave design. I think I have some stencils that might look good on if I did like a very pale blue. I don't know yet. May just leave it the way it is. Or I have this beautiful silver. It's not bubble, although I have a purple that is bubbles, but it's not blue. Beautiful silver foiled piece that I also used in the baby's baby shower gifts. I'm just afraid it's too much bling. It's gorgeous, but I'm afraid that's a big, it's going to look like a disco ball, so I probably will end up not putting anything like that on the front. I need to find my acetate strips, and I thought there was something else I wanted to tell you about the fish, but I don't remember what it was, so maybe I'll think of it later. I've got the eyes applied. What I did was I did go ahead and cut out the white circles for the eyes, but then I used a black glitter pen. I don't have a brand on this, and I've had it for so long I was surprised it even worked. But I got a big set from Amazon years and years and years ago. So I like that. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it adds a little sparkle to the eye. So I thought that was cute. You can do that however you like. Little gemstones might be cute too, you know, little flat back gems for eyes. What I wanted to tell you, the other thing about the file is, if you don't want to deal with all of these cut lines, just turn them off. Or like I said, you could draw, you could use your foil tool, whatever you've got, use it. I do think the foil would be really cool, and if you foiled it first and then ink blended over it, the foil will act as a resist and you can wipe it off. Alright, I managed to find my acetate strips, and I managed to get them attached. I'm going to just put it back on there, and so you can see the fish float. You just got to pull on it, but that's the way it's designed, and they float back and forth. Now, I put my greenery up a little too high, and I made my fish a little too big, but there you go. It's still pretty cute. So I'm going to glue the sides together. But I wanted to tell you, I did use a tape runner to get an idea where to, you know, to put my acetate strip, and then I put a piece of tape over it. So yeah, now it just needs glued together, and I'm wondering if score tape might not be a better idea than glue because of the tape on the background, but I'm going to just glue it. So let's see here. Maybe flatten it out a bit. Let's start on this side. So there's a variety of ways you can do this, and I just knew when I saw Jennifer's card I had to make one because, like I said, my great niece's first birthday will be coming up later this year, like in November, guys, if I remember correctly. I used to have everybody's birth dates memorized, but as you get older and more kids are, you know, join the family, it's harder to do that. Plus, your memory starts to fail. For me, I noticed it happen when I was undergoing chemo, but it's probably just was going to happen anyway. So I just knew I had to make this one. But what I was telling you about the dies is you kind of just have to decide, you know, is this die worth it to you? Or at least that's the way I do it. Is it something I'm going to use over and over and over again? If it's not, I'm not going to buy it. As cute as it is, and believe me, I've got those fish in my cart still, but I won't buy them. And these are cute, and like I said, you could do print and cut. I just realized that when I was all said and done, the print and cut had a dark enough blue that it didn't really it didn't stand out against the background, and I really wanted it to stand out. So I decided to go back and work on the fish some more, and honestly, I do think they turned out pretty good. I'm going to flatten that out and just spread that glue out good. Make sure it's still lined up, hopefully. Yeah. Alright, so this is where we're at so far. And I do think he's cute, don't you? Fish could have been a little smaller, and that's the beauty of Designspace that you don't have with dies. You can resize these. You can squish them a little thinner. You can just make them smaller. You know, the smaller you get, the more the test cuts may give you a little trouble. I don't know, but you'll always want to do a test sample anyway. So since I'm not putting anything on the front, I thought I might go ahead and use my mermaid. And I've got this shell cut out that I thought I would maybe use down here somewhere. And then I would put her sentiment somewhere up here. So Jennifer had hers floating across, but because my fish are bigger, I didn't really save myself enough room to do that. But I think it works like this. And I think Emerson will think it's cute that she can play with her fish. So that's how I'm going to finish it off. And I think that's all I've got. I do want to say thank you guys for joining me. I know this was a long one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this file. You guys are so quiet. I really would like to know what you think of it. You know, if you have some ideas that I could do to make it better, or if you make some changes that make it better, and you feel like sharing with everybody, that would be great. But until next time, you know, I might even, I don't know, I don't want to gum it up. Is that really a word? I don't even know. Would that be too much? Yeah, I think it would be. Okay, so this is kind of where I'm going to leave it. I'll add some backing layers to her just to stiffen her up. Maybe one to the seashells, and I'm going to call it good. So there you guys have it. Let me zoom in a little bit and pull her down a little bit. Well, I zoomed in too much. I am not good with this zooming business. Okay, anyway, there you go. Let me pull that out of the way so you get a clearer look. I think it's pretty cute. I do love this design, and I do think you could use this in a variety of different ways. Like I said, florals in the background. You've got multiple layers here. I only used the background and the foreground, but you could stick something in between where it glues together, I suppose, or just put it on acetate and then have a cute little butterflies or bees flying across there, or fairies. Yeah, whatever sparks your imagination. I mean, I just thought this was adorable. So I'm now have the problem that I have to put this somewhere where I can find it in order to mail it several months from now. But I do think it's cute, and hopefully she'll think it's cute. She's only going to be 1 year old, so, you know, who knows what she's going to be thinking. But I think it's cute. So this is, the file's going to contain the card base, which is Jennifer's measurements. And when it folds in, I've still got pieces floating around on here that aren't glued down, but it does fold up like this. So it's supposed to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when it folds up. Let me just grab my, well, that's more like almost 4 1/2. So that might be my bad. Oh, by 6 1/2. So it's not 4 1/4 by 5, but it's more like, I think, what does she say, that A6 size that she likes? But you can always resize it if you want. Wow. Until next time, guys. I hope you have a happy, crafty, and healthy day.